What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, well, it's time to take a look at a lovely pair of Digimon cards. We are looking like we're getting properly into reveal season for BT6, and by now you guys know I am a big fan of reveal season, but we've had a pair of cards revealed that are very much a pair of cards, so we should go and have a little bit of a look at them as a pair of cards. We've got Flamemon and Strabimon, and shout out to the lovely folks at AncientGreymon, as well as the lovely folks at DigimonCard.dev. That's where we get our translations from. And I will say that we have already had these two coming in as a pair over in BT4. Let's see if they're any better now. So we'll start off with Flamemon, because it's numerically earlier. We got a 4 cost to play normally, 0 cost to evolve, 3000 power level 3 Digimon, which means it is slightly more expensive to play than normal. Evolution, fine, no issues whatsoever. However, if you're going to be trying to play this normally, you are going to pay for it. Might I suggest trying to evolve it? And what we've got here is a single inheritable skill that should make it worth playing, at least if you're playing a very specific kind of deck. While this Digimon has either a hybrid form or 10 warriors in its type, it gains piercing. Now, piercing is genuinely awesome. Piercing means that when you take out a Digimon, you also get to perform a security check. And we've seen a billion Digimon over the lifetime of this game that have got piercing. Piercing isn't a new skill. But piercing is still a good skill. There are so many times where you really want to perform a security check, but you've got to take out a resting Digimon. So you do. And it's not because you want to, it's because if you don't take out that Digimon, your opponent is going to get too far ahead in the game, and that's going to be a bad thing. Well, now you don't have to choose. You take out a resting Digimon, and you perform a security check at the same point. This is clearly wonderful. And the thing is, in terms of getting piercing as an inheritable skill, this isn't really something we see terribly often. I mean, sure, we've got it on Durandamon, a level 6. I'm not pausing for dramatic effect, I'm pausing because that's the entire list. If we're looking at red Digimon that give piercing as an inheritable skill, your choices are Durandamon or this. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is literally the entire list. So clearly having a level 3 that can go ahead and be granting piercing to your Digimon is clearly a great thing. The thing is, like I've said, it doesn't just grant piercing. Piercing is not what it does. It gives a very narrow cross-section of your Digimon piercing, and shall we say that is not exactly the same thing. Now, if anyone's wondering about the whole 10 warriors type, I know I was. Essentially, what we've got is AncientGreymon and AncientGarurumon. I've gone and done the checking over on DigimonCard.dev, great site to use for research, and essentially, they are your options. It's AncientGreymon or AncientGarurumon, they're coming out in BT4. And if you're playing that kind of deck, and obviously to get from a red level 3 up to AncientGarurumon is going to be a bit of a pain, but if you're playing an AncientGreymon deck, you could do a lot worse. And if you're playing Hybrid Digimon, you could do a lot worse. And that's kind of cool. It's a great skill. I love it as an inheritable skill. But let's be super clear here, this has got a very narrow usage. When you've got a deck that fits into that, brilliant. When you don't, maybe this isn't the one you want to go for. So I'm going to go ahead and give it between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. Love it, but in a very narrow range of decks. So I think this sounds probably somewhere around fair. Also, I suppose worth pointing out that Agunimon, that new promo we got the other day, that one does actually have a really nice skill, which helps you to get AncientGreymon out a lot more easily. So if you want to play an AncientGreymon deck, there has never been a better time. That is something to bear in mind. Now, we are getting a Strabimon coming in here as well, And what we've got here in terms of stats is exactly the same. 4 cost to play normally, 0 cost to Digivolve, 3,000 power. And we've got an inheritable skill, whereby when you're attacking once during your turn, if this Digimon has hybrid form or it has 10 warriors in its type, you gain 1 memory. So it's a very similar kind of thing, except it's really going after the AncientGarurumon decks rather than the AncientGreymon decks, and it is gaining memory rather than getting piercing. The thing is, we can gain memory in other ways. So we got Bluecomon from BT5. When you trash a Digivolution card from one of your opponent's Digimon, you can gain a memory. MetalGarurumon, when you attack once during your turn, you can gain a memory. Zudamon, if your opponent has a Digimon with no Digivolution cards in play when you attack, you gain a memory. So we have actually seen other ways to gain the memory. What I'm saying essentially is that gaining a memory here is not quite as impressive as getting piercing when we're looking over at the reds, because actually we've got other ways to play about and gain memory in blue that we don't have so much getting piercing in red. But the thing is, this game is about memory. Memory is a resource you use when playing the game. So clearly, the more memory you've got, the better. And clearly, this is going to be a cool thing. And again, we run into the exact same problem of it only works sometimes. Sometimes it works beautifully, sometimes it doesn't. There are going to be certain decks that are going to love this. Certainly, if you're playing an AncientGarurumon deck, this is going to be just amazing, but if you're not, it's not. And again, we need to go back to those promos that were recently released in Japan, and it is worth pointing out that they are also going to be part of our Great Legend suite, so to speak. We've got those packs coming. You get one when you buy a box of Great Legend, and they're going to have one of the random promos in. And I told you that they were cool promos, and that is exactly what we're finding out here. They were Digimon promos, but then they became promos over here really quickly, or they're going to as soon as BT4 comes out. And this is, again, just a ridiculous, ridiculous thing. Because, once again, we've got a card that is going to absolutely just be redonkulous when it comes to boosting up these cards. Now, AncientGarurumon, I actually showed you a winning deck list on this channel not very long ago, and it only seems to be getting better. Now you're gaining memory when you attack, as well as having that awesome inheritable skill which reduces your evolution cost, and having the option to go up into it nice and quickly. And I think what we've got here, it's a little bit weird. It's almost like Digimon are turning around and going, hey, you remember those cards we released in BT4? Well, they weren't quite good enough, so we're going to make these promos, which are actually going to really help you out, because they're going to just let you evolve a little bit more quickly. Oh yeah, and then like 2 sets later, we're going to give you these level 3s, which are going to give you these excellent little tricks as well. And I'll be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, I am completely and utterly into it. It sounds cool. Now, in terms of the other Flamemon and Strabimon, Flamemon, when you played it, you revealed the top 3 cards of your deck, and you added a Digimon with hybrid in its form and or a red tamer card from among them to your hand, which was clearly a nice, useful play skill. And Strabimon here, when you played it, the same thing, but blue tamer rather than red tamer. And I've seen Strabimon popping up in a bunch of deck lists lately, and essentially, if you're playing those kind of decks, these are clearly very good cards, and if you're not, they're clearly not. Once again, we've got hyper-specific cards, but I think, and you know, you can play them up in the hybrid decks. I like them more in the AncientGreymon, AncientGarurumon style decks, but certainly, if I'm going to be giving my AncientGreymon piercing, bearing in mind AncientGreymon itself has security attack +1 for each card in your Digivolution cards with Greymon in its name, or hybrid form, yes. because now I can take out a resting Digimon, bearing in mind I'm 13,000 power, I got a lot of power, and I'm performing extra security checks as well. That sounds good. They both get the same score. It's both between 3 and 4 Wassies. We don't give half Wassies. That would be barbaric. Very specific cards, but very interesting ones that I could see getting rather excited about in the future. But I want to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk Digimon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wassi Plays.